Alright, what's up guys? Team Simply Matt here. And I just wanted to, instead of doing a couple of videos on the individual cards themselves, I'm just kind of compiling my thoughts on some of the new support that Worms are going to be getting, as well as kind of some changes to the ban list. So I'm actually kind of excited. We got some interesting support coming out. The first one is it's this card, Gen Trooper. It will be coming out in the Super Starter, which we get around June. This is the one that will have Utopia Ray as the cover card. And so basically what Gen Trooper is, it's a light reptile, which means that this will work for Nebula. You will get a draw off of it. And so when your opponent's monster declares an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then your opponent cannot target other monsters you control for attacks. Some people seem to be hyping this card up a lot. I'm still a little, it'll be an interesting tech choice. The main purpose, a lot of people are saying that the main purpose of this card is to just kind of basically protect your X or your Jaegen, because this will kind of essentially soak up the attack. But I don't think, that's really the purpose to run this card. I think this main purpose will just to help us with exceeding, because we really don't spam the field very much, and a lot of times you don't want to commit if you have a full field of worms. I'd rather keep them to either use to tribute for king effect, or to keep them on the field just so you can keep, if you have Nebula out. But so what the way I see us using this is, if the opponent monster's attack, you special summon this, and then you also chain to that attack, you chain like a Mirror Force, or a Nebula, or a Deep Prison, so this monster doesn't get destroyed. And then, or like, so you first turn, you go X-Jaegen, and then you set a Nebula, the opponent's monster's attack, you drop this, and then you activate Nebula to bounce with Jaegen, and then at the end phase, you'll have 3 monsters that you can then flip face down and draw a card off of, and then the next turn, you can take, the X and this Gen Trooper and then exceed it. So an interesting card. Plus, it has so much swag. It has an umbrella and a little hat. Damn, that's cool. The card that probably the people are most excited about is this card. The original name was King Gremlin. Now it's currently at King Feral Imp. This will come out in Lord of Tachyon Galaxy. This is a dark reptile monster. It takes 2 level 4s, and then once per turn, detach an XE material. Add 1 reptile type monster from your deck to your hand. This will be good for deck thinning, getting out an X. Sometimes early game it's hard to, unless you kind of get some card rows flips, it's hard to start out with monsters. So this will just be a good way to kind of toolbox some of our deck and to make sure we always have a monster in our hand. Although, my personal style, I don't like to exceed that much unless there's something I want to do with it, unless there's if I want to go into Black Ship to get rid of the Zen mains, unless I want to stall with the Utopia. So this is good in that it kind of gives us just an exceed. If we have a face-up Carteros and a face-up Jaegen that aren't really doing much, we can go into something, and then we can do something productive with it. We can get some slight pluses off of it while we're waiting. And then, so those are the 2 kind of wormish support cards, and then the rest of them are some of the Constellar cards that are coming out, and the Constellars are light monsters. And so the 2 that I'm going to highlight, they take 2 level 4 light monsters, which, everything is level 4. That's another great thing about Gen Trooper. It's a level 4 light reptile monster, which is just perfect. The first one's Constellar Omega, and then once per turn, during either player's turn, you can attach 1 XE material from this card, and then face-up Constellar monsters you control are unaffected by the effects of spell or trap cards. So this is basically, it's a monster that always has a Forbidden Lance. It's good, so if you want to attack with it, you don't have to fear, a Deep Prison or a Mirror Force, so that's great. When you summon it, you don't have to worry about it getting bottomless. So this is just a great kind of slightly defensive, it's a defensive card that allows you to then be offensive with it. And then the other level 4 one is Presepi. And this one, once per turn during the damage step by the player's turn, when a constant monster you control is attacked or is attacking or being attacked, that's the nice part, or if it's being attacked. So you can detach 1 XE material from this card. That monster gains 1,000 attack until the end phase. It's kind of like a mini Honest built in. One of the problems with Worms is we have trouble getting out really high attack monsters sometimes. So, this will get you over anything that's, this will ram into a 3400 monster, so that's really useful, especially, I mean, the one downside of Gaga Cowboy is it's only when it attacks it gets the boost. So with this one, I mean, you can just set it and then not be afraid of, a Red Eyes attacking or an Abyss Lead attacking, so that's really useful. And then kind of the other thing we can do is we can take either one of these and then overlay it to get, Constellar M7, one of the big money cards from the DT cards currently out, the Constellars. And so it's normally 2 level 6s, but you can exceed this by using the Constellar Exceed monster. And then, but if you do that, its effect cannot be activated that turn. And then, so once per turn, you can detach 1 Exceed material from this card to target 1 monster on the field or another player's graveyard, return that target to the hand. Some uses that I can see. First and foremost, you can use this to recycle Honest. That's great. Or just, if your opponent's exceeds that you want to return, you can do that. I mean, this will be nice because if you use an Omega or Praesepi and without using their materials, and then you overlay an M7, this M7 will now have 3 materials that you can use. So you can just really abuse this in Honest, I guess. And so those are just kind of cards to look out for. I mean, King Feral Imp will be coming out in Tachyon Galaxy. And then Gen Trooper, it'll be interesting to see how many people use Gen Trooper. Because in a lot of ways, its effects, or it's kind of the bonuses of it, such as, getting an extra draw off of Nebula or being able to soak up another attack. Call of the Haunted would do that too. I mean, I do Tech 1 Call of the Haunted for similar situations. So it'll be interesting to see, what do you guys think, any Worm players, how viable do you think Gen Trooper is, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I'm sure I'll try it out at 1, maybe we'll see if it goes up or down. And then, so let's do this, since the ban list did just come out. This isn't my, I took out the side deck for a couple more Exceeds that I want to talk about. But this is my build right now. The 2 things that were affected for the Worm decks. Thunder King went to 2. However, I mean, I only ever ran 2 Thunder King, so it didn't affect me. But I know a lot of people did run 3. And then we did lose a Warning, which is kind of bittersweet, I guess. Because, yes, we lost Warning, which is a great card against, Dino Rabbits, Mermails, against a lot of the meta decks that you need to stop their big plays. But this also means, whenever I have a Starlight, the one card that I fear is Solemn Warning. Nebula is, the one of the cards that they'll use to stop it is Solemn Warning, so our cards are just that much more likely to go through, so it's just a little bittersweet. So my replacement, I just threw in a 3rd MST. I mean, with Mermails, Mermails will run Abyss Sphere or maybe Abyss Squall. So having those MSTs to deal with it, I mean, now that Fire Fists are getting big, MSTs will be great against them. And then Dino Rabbits, they also run Backgrowth, so I was weary of running 3 MSTs before, just because of, decks like Chaos Dragons or some agents that just didn't run any traps, but a lot of the meta decks now are starting to run traps, so 3 MSTs, that's what I decided to go with. So kind of after, the Feral Imps and the Constellar cards come out, what should your extra deck look like and what kind of mine will look like? So I have Shockmaster, just a great card. This is the other card I didn't talk about. This comes out in the Zexal tin in a couple days. This might be my new go-to Exceed. It's a Photo Knight Palladus. This isn't its actual name. It's like, I don't even remember. They made some really, really weird-ass name for it in the Zexal, like for the English one now. But this is, again, 2 level 4 light monsters, and then detach 2 Exceed materials from this card. Target a face-up monster opponent controls. Its attack becomes 0 and its effects are negated. And then the best part is when this card you control is destroyed by your opponent's card and sent to the graveyard, draw a card. So this is a card you can get it, and then you don't have to worry if it gets destroyed. You'll still get a plus. You'll get your 1 card, so it's not like you go negative. And then this is also just great to either negate your opponent's effects or just to run it over. So this before Utopia was kind of the go-to Exceed, but I think this might replace it. And then, so of course, Feral Imp, at least 1. Some people might, depending on how much they like to use it, they'll put in another 1. And then, so Utopia, Gaga, Blackship. Blackship might be the Exceed that I go into the most often right now. Maystroke for the defense. Steelstorm Roach, it hurts Chaos Dragons. Mermails too, I guess, but since there are so many Exceeds, it's not quite as powerful. Papal Operative, screw with set monsters. Abyss Dweller from Mermails, and then Constellar M7 and Omega. And then I do, since I run two Starlight Roads, I run two Stardust. Some people run three roads, but still I'd only run two Stardust, just because even the fact of getting two Stardusts off if you can get off, one Stardust and Starlight in a game, you're normally in a pretty great position. But so definitely don't run three. I mean, two is a good number. And I'm still going to be siding Cyber Dragon, so I still am going to include Chimera Tech. Some people don't want that extra Exceed, so the two Exceeds that I kind of bumped from this, I bumped Gem Knight just because the point of Gem Knight was, I guess, in case they had a 2500 attack monster, but now having, Pallidus, that won't be a problem to get over it, or the other one here is the Praesepe. Depending on just kind of the price, I mean, I'd likely run both this and Omega, but I just put Omega in over it just because, just the fact that we're kind of a controlled deck, so the fact that you'll get out an Exceed that you can protect from a spell and traps is really great. And then some people like Zenmeister. I really don't. I've never actually even wanted to summon it. I mean, it's what do you want to do with it? You want to just, if you have if you have three worms, what are you going to do? Overlay two of them and then just reuse a Yagen? But then at the end phase, you're going to have an attack position Yagen that's just going to get destroyed. So I don't see the point of this. And I did take out a Utopia Ray. The reason I had this in, because I actually ran two Utopias, and that was just because Utopia, I mean, it was a light defensive monster, so that was the card that I went into a lot, but only running one Utopia, and seeing that I'll probably go into a lot cards more frequently, I decided to take out Utopia Ray in favor of some of the Constellar cards. If I had the two cards that I'd probably most likely take out would either be Chimera Tech or Steel Swarm is actually the card that I might take out next. So, take out a Steel Swarm, and if depending on the prices, put in a Praesepe, just because, I mean, these Constellar cards are really great. M7's probably going to be really, really expensive, but, hopefully Omega and Praesepe aren't too bad. So, thanks for watching, guys. Once this support comes out, it'll be interesting to see how worms do. I think the fact that we can, side 3 Macrocosmos is pretty great. Some people have been putting in this card, Banisher of the Radiance. I don't really know why. Rank, level 3s do nothing for us, but no, some people, they main deck 3 of these, so I really don't get it that much, but it's just it's like macro that doesn't get MST'd, but it gets run over, so yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think some of the new worm support and which ones you're most excited for. Thanks.